Good afternoon, student. In today's lecture, we are going to study about the physiological adaptation. The last video which I have sent you on this topic was in that video we have already completed the physiological adaptation in volant and the aquatic form. Yeah. So in today's lecture, we are going to see the physiological adaptation of parasite, cursorial animals, and fossorial animals. Okay. So the parasitic form means what? The organism which like will be uh, like the organism which depend on another organism for all their nutrients, for shelter, for reproduction, for everything. That parasite will depend on another organism. Okay, and that another organism is refers to as a host. And the different physiological adaptations of parasite will be in the terms of in order to survive in the environment of the host. Okay, so the the parasitic adaptations that first is due as a they need to live in inside the body of the host or the on outside the host. Just to overcome this, they have developed a various type of physiological adaptations. Okay, the first is the integuments. Okay, the outer covering, that is development of the outer coverings, outer protective covering. Okay, and this refers to as an integument, and the integument of the parasite will have lots of epidermis, and this will developed in several layered. Okay, and this thick protective covering is referred to as a cuticle. Okay, and this cuticle is resistant to the host digestive enzyme, antioxidant, and the abrasive action of the food, and the enzymes which are found or when they move through the digestive tract. Okay, and this cuticle is permeable to water, and it will also help in absorption of food from the protective spines, and they have well developed in cuticles, such as for example in trematodes. Okay, or helminthes in a and next is the they will be having, in order to survive under the host environment, the most of the parasite life will be having a degeneration of the organs. Most of the organs for example the organ of locomotion, since parasite resides inside the host body, uh, they live in well protected and nourishment environment. So what happens, there is no need to move from one place to another. Thus locomotory organelles are completely lost in a parasites. Okay, and if it is found also, it will be will be minute like. Okay, and in free swimming larval stages, there will be a locomotory organs in the form of cilia will be present. For example, Miracidium larva of the Fasciola hepatica. Okay, then next is they will be having a tropic organs, tropic organs will be referred to as organ which are concerned with the nutrition. Okay, so what happened, this the organs which are concerned with the nutrition are referred to as a tropic organ, and in parasite this derives a fully digested and a partially digested nutrition from the host of the body. So the alimentary canal has either totally disappeared in most of the forms of parasite, but in some forms it will exhibit fair degree of degeneration, means it is will be degenerated, like not totally it will get degenerated, the part of the alimentary canal is degenerated. For example, fasciola, then ascaris, they will be having a degeneration of alimentary canal is observed, whereas in the Taenia solium, that is a tapeworm, what happened, that include total disappearance of the this uh, sorry total disappearance of the alimentary canals. Okay, then the nervous system and the sense organ, what happen, thus the endoparasite live in a well protected, as I already said, it will be found living in a well protected and a stable environment of the host. Okay, so there is no need for the complex form of the nervous system. Okay, and even they will be having a photoreceptor organs like eyes and other sense organ have completely lost in some of the forms. Okay, whereas the central and the peripheral nervous system also reduced, it is reduced as compared to the other free living species of the helminthes. Okay, then they will be having uh, different adhesive organs have been found, for example suckers, hooks, jaws. Okay, which helps in attachment. Also it provides sucking of or deriving nutrients from the host tissue. Okay, then in ectoparasite, like for example in Heredinaria or Plasmodium, what happens, the blood feeding parasite that are referred to as blood feeding parasite will be having an anticoagulant. Okay, thus when they are, for example, mosquito, what happens when it peers suck the blood, that time they will first give out the anticoagulant to the host. Thus that part from where they are sucking the blood, it will be already dissolved with the anticoagulant, thus it this avoid the clotting of the blood. Okay, then next is they will be having a secretion of anti enzymes and mucus. Okay, that is when while they are obtaining nutrition from the host body. For example, in endoparasite, that is the internal parasites, what happen, internal parasite, what happen, they will be deriving nutrition. Okay, and where the abundant nutrients material is already available. At the same time, what happen, the parasites are living inside the gut now of that host, so there are danger, this is very dangerous for the parasite, as there are lot of digestive enzymes are present, the host digestive enzyme. So what happened, first for example, Taenia solium ascaris, they have a strong permeable cuticle which have developed around the parasite. Okay, and this cuticle will also stimulate the host gut to secrete huge amount of mucus, and that surrounds the parasite and protect it from the digestive enzymes or the juices of the host. Okay, the next example is the most of the parasites will produce an anti-enzymes which protect them from gastric juice and the digestive enzymes of the host. Okay, and in it has been studied also that in a Lyme cell present in the body wall of the tapeworm, which that will neutralizes the acidic effect of the gastric juices. Okay, so these are the different adaptation, the physiological adaptation that have acquired by the parasite in order to live under the host environment. Okay, the next is the development of the anaerobic mode of respiration. Most of the helminthes or endoparasites spatially live found inside the gut lumen, or live in a oxygen deficient environment. At the same time, what happen, they possess a very low metabolic rate, which require a very little amount of oxygen. Thus, to overcome this problem of non-availability of the oxygen, parasites have developed to or adapted themselves for the anaerobic mode of respiration, that is the respiration without the presence of oxygen, okay, in which the energy is obtained by fragmentation of the glycogen. Okay, glycogen is the substance that are used or glucose is stored in the form of glycogen in the body. Okay, whenever there is glucose deficiency, then glycogen breaks down and converts into the glucose. Okay, so it is a stored carbohydrate. Thus in anaerobic respiration, what happen, they involve this fermentation of the stored carbohydrate, that is glycogen, in an oxygen free environment. So this will break down and forms a oxygen, okay, and carbon dioxide. Along with that, it will also produces a fatty acid, okay, that are the end product. And at the time when the oxygen is available, they may exhibit a aerobic mode of respiration. So thus the parasite have adapted for both mode of respiration, anaerobic as well as the aerobic mode of respiration. Okay, the next point is the osmotic pressure adaptability, that is parasite maintain osmotic pressure of their body fluid approximately same, or it will be slightly less than that of the environment in which they live inside, that is the environment of the host. Okay, and this facilitate them to absorb the nutrition from the general body surface through their general body surface, or osmotic equilibrium also prevent the disturbing exchange of water. Okay, the next adaptation that is observed is the chemotaxis. The endoparasite has to face the change in chemical environment inside the body of the host. So they have adapted to exhibit the phenomena termed as a chemotaxis, which will allow them to find their way and respond accordingly. Okay. The next is regarding reproduction. This is again you can just go through this slide also. I'll be sending a slide PPT in your group. Okay, so this I've already explained it. Reproduction adaptation of parasite. One of the most characteristic feature of the helminthes parasite or the other parasite too is the enormous development of their reproductive system. Okay, the chances of survival of parasite inside the host body are always threatening. Okay, so what happened, the life cycle, in order to pursue survival, the life cycle of the parasite is generally complex, and it is often comprises of two or more hosts. Okay, and there is always a chance of egg reaching the host body and attaining the reproductive age. And thus to overcome this crisis, the reproductive organ of the parasite are well developed, and the production of egg is prolific, that is they ensures the rates of continuation, and this adaptation is correlated with the passive transfer of the effective stages of the parasite from a primary host to the intermediate host and back to the primary host. Okay, and in order to attain this reproductive system, well developed reproductive system in a parasite, the parasite have showing hermaphroditism, that is in order it is very difficult or it is very problematic to reach the mate, and mating is also a species specific. So in order to reach their mate, the most of the helminthes, that is trematodes and cystode parasite, have attained hermaphroditism, that is they will be exhibiting self fertilization. Okay, whereas in the what happened in a tapeworm. Okay, in tapeworm what happened, the proglottids of the body bears full set of hermaphroditic sex organ. That is, you have seen na tapeworm, the body is segmented, so that each segment is termed as a proglottid, and each proglottid, if detached from the body, main body, it will form or give rise to an adult tapeworm. So each proglottid has that capability of reproduction. Okay, the next is the development of the cyst wall. The eggs or the larva which of the parasite are provided with resistant wall which protect them from the action of digestive juices of the host. Okay, for example, in Taenia solium will surrounded by a 3 layers of cyst wall. Okay, then fecundity, that is, there is like a very low chance of eggs and larvae reaching to the definite host. So what happens, the parasite possess enormous fecundity, that they will be producing large number of eggs. And the best example is the single gravid proglottid of the Taenia solium, that is tapeworm, will contain about 40,000 fertilized eggs, whereas in Fasciola hepatica or Fasciola species will produce about 30,000 to 35,000 of eggs, and whereas Ascaris will be laying about 2 lakhs of eggs each day. This is about the each day calculation. Okay, then the next is they will be having a complex life cycle, that is, most of the helminthes or the endoparasite has a complex life cycle, and it will include two hosts, the intermediate host and the primary host, and the presence of the intermediate host minimizes the exposure period of the parasite and its larval stage to external environment. Okay, this is the uh, advantage of the life cycle, having with life cycle with intermediate host with the and plus primary host. Okay, this is about the physiological adaptation in parasite. Then next is the cursorial adaptation. So what are cursorial adaptation? Means adaptation they acquired for the speed. Okay, or it is also called as a speed adaptation. Cursorial adaptation may be defined as the adjustment of the animals with the open environment of the earth's surface, that is terrestrial, and it will correlate it directly with the adaptation of the speed for both prey as well as for the predator. Okay, and what are the like essential features of the cursorial animals? The cursorial animals will the body, okay, must be regulated or adapted for the attain the speed, and the total control over the movement of the different part of the limbs and other oscillating body parts to be attained. Then during locomotion, most of the body parts should be detached from the ground to minimize the friction, and also in the navigation direction should be maintained perfectly during running with the help of well developed sense organs. So these are the three important. The first is the while having a locomotion, the body part should be detached from the ground to minimize the friction. The navigation direction should be maintained perfectly during the running with the help of the well developed sense organ, and control over the movement of the different parts of the limbs and other oscillating body parts. Okay, so these are the three important features on which the cursorial animals have adapted. Okay, the first is loss of digits, that generally what happen, in order to acquire a speed adaptation or speed. Okay. Thus there has been loss of digits or the reduction in a digits takes place. So this gives the platygrade animals which generally possess 5 toes, digitigrade animal that will possess 4 toes, while anguilligrade animals that will possess 2, that is in Artiodactylus, or in one case the Perissodactylus digits. Okay. And with the loss of the digits, there has been occurs a compacting of the bones of the palm and the sole. Okay. And here what happened, there has been taken a fusion, fused to form a metapodyles. Often this is carried to give rise to an actual fusion of these elements into a cannon bone. Okay. Similarly, in birds, what happens? Birds will show a fusion of metacarpals, and they will be having a speed adapted angulates. In angulates, what happened? There has been fusion of the tarsals and the carpal bones, and this give rise to the hoof. Okay. Then next point is the change of foot posture, that is in a primitive terrestrial foot there has been platygrade. Okay. Which and in some it is anguilligrade to the digitigrade. Hence the lengthening of the limbs occurs by rising upon the toes. Okay. And this change of foot posture will thus give rise to the platygrade, that is the grady to walk. Okay. Plata means sole and grady means to walk. Okay. And next is the digitigrades, where digits or fingers are there. Okay. And anguilligrade means hoof. Okay. So in anguilligrades what happen, in this posture the animal walk on modified nails or hoof that will supported by the fingers or the toes. For example, in cursorial animal, that is the antelope, horse and all. Okay. About digitigrade, that is in this animals walk or run by placing only the digits on the ground with the help of carpals and tarsals. Okay. And metacarpals and the metatarsals will remain above the ground. For example, in dogs, fox, hyena. Okay. And even in modern camels have become secondary digitigrade from the anguilligrade posture. Okay. And in plantigrades what happen, the posture is to develop the entire palm or the sole rest on the ground. For example, in men and all. Okay. That is bears, raccoons and primates like baboons and men, human beings. Okay. The next point is the reduction of fibula and ulna. The radio ulna and the tibia fibula of the fore and hind limbs get reduced for attainment of the speed. Okay. And in it is adapted in exclusive locomotion, that is the limbs, the ulna and the fibula of fore limbs and hind limbs respectively is reduced. Okay. Then there is the next point is the lengthening of the limbs. In lengthening of the limbs is essential for the long strides. Thus this will increase the length, may be both actual and relative. Okay. And thus what happens, the concentrated muscle of the proximal part of the limbs will transmit coordinated power to the lower legs through the attached tendon. Okay. The next is ratio of proportional coordination, that is only the limbs cannot increase or there is not only increase coordinate along with the others. Okay. means want to say that the cursorial animals, only the limbs will not play an important role or adapted for the cursorial adaptation. There is also other organs we will help it or support it, like there is an increase of a neck, skull and other proportions of body parts, and perhaps they will be correlated with the also in food getting and drinking, and there is definite ratio of the body part must be coordinate. Okay. The next physiological adaptation is about the fossorial adaptation. Fossorial adaptation is basically adapted for the digging purpose, okay, digging the earth. But in fossorial adaptation, the animal change the environment by making a subterranean zone through a digging of its own, okay, and hence by influence of the environment as well as the animals itself, the adaptive changes have occurred, and it is classified based on fossorial animals can be classified on three categories. That is, first is the animal digging the soil for the food, okay, that is the animals, for example elephants, swine and all, what they will do, they will dig the soil by the help of snout or the tusk. And apart from this, there has been a little fossorial adaptation that can be noted. That is, in elephant, the entire modification of the skull is for digging mechanism. Okay. The next type of animals that are included in a fossorial animals, that are animals that will dig for the retreat but seek their food above the ground. The digging is for recreation, but the food will be available on the ground. So in this, there has been limbs that have become shorter, but they have no extreme modification, for example in fox, mongoose, okay. And third type of animal which are called as a fossorial, that is animal digging for the retreat but find their food under the ground, and they have got extreme modification of fossorial life, for example telepa, then rattles, okay. So based on this, now we will see what will be the physiological adaptation shown by these organisms. First is the head. The head will be tapering in a tapering animals, which causes the skulls to become conical. For example, in a spiny anteater, moles, shrews, where the jaws with the feeble musculature are present in the creature, and it will act upon the feeble prey. The next is the neck. The neck is adapted for the adapted in a burrowing animal is either absent or it will be very short. For example, moles, what happens? The second, third and the fourth cervical vertebrae are absent, okay. Whereas the eyes, there has been constant disuse of the eyes have taken place, so they have become non-functional. For example, small eyes are present in a pocket gopher, whereas a mere spot in the muscle is found in a mole rat, okay. Imperfectly developed eyes are also present in a marsupial mole, whereas with the very minute eyes are present in a talpa, and in a gold mole the eyes are covered with the skin. So these are the different mechanism, or because of this use of the eyes, they have become degenerated or modified. And if the eyes which are also present or well developed, then it would be have been very point of frequent injury, because the fossorial animals or the organisms are digging animals, burrowing animals, so it would have very injurious, Okay, so thus there has been modification in the eyes. Then ears. Ears here will be having an auditory receptor, which will be because if the ears loses its importance and it becomes inconspicuous, that is very small, or it also become a minute. Okay, similar in the eyes, similar to that of eyes, ears also have become a like inconspicuous, or it have reduced to small or minute ear, and is present in a rattlesnake and other. And ears is represented by a fringe of a skin in a cap golden mole. uh, in some it is completely absent, and in some forms the monotrims and moles it is a completely or fully absent, whereas in the external ear tend to disappear, and hence they would be hind cranes of the burrowing animals. Okay. The next point is the tactile organ. To compensate the loss of audio visual receptor, the tactile organ are very highly developed in the fossorial organism, and in addition to tail, snout in a mole is richly inverted, and it will act as a highly sensitive tactile organ. Okay, so this is about the physiological adaptations in parasites, cursorial and fossorial. If you have any question regarding this topic, then please let me know. Thank you, students.